No, that's all right.
It's all the same. Okay. Your bottom drain is your main drain. We already got a main drain on the intersection. I need to get the return one. So now we got arrows going which way the water's going on all of them except for one and we're putting in. Ag texture, you can throw it away or keep it away. Quick recycling.
Yep.
Some people used to put ropes in them and put them around trees. And they go around so it doesn't go into the bark and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's good as trash. I have thousands of them from you guys too. Alright, so this one right here is going. Yeah. Okay, so over here, confusion one is this one goes up, so it's coming from that pipe, goes up, except it goes down right there and it goes over. Some more on put that one I didn't do it.
You want to take it off?
Yeah, I was going to put a better one on there. I had it kind of crooked. I was leaning uphill really bad.
I don't think we're going to fire you if it's a little crooked.
Yeah, but it just doesn't look
No,
right.
but she'll tell you that I prefer things.
Yes.
It should be symmetrical, I think. Alright, so we got waterfall, we got bubble, waterfall shear descent. I don't have a shear descent. We got, sorry for the two different sizes, like the skimmer and the suction. That's the filter pump, that's your chlorinator, that's your Polaris pump. The lights, I talked to you about the lights already, getting the remote control thing, it blows your Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah, well, we have a switch at the back porch
Okay,
for
so
the light in the pool.
if you take that switch, and they have a $35 one and a $70 one at Home Depot and Lowe's at Christmas time, the Christmas tree light, you know, turn the lights on,
Yeah.
it has like an alarm keychain for a car.
Okay.
The $70 one transpires, it clicks quicker, so it receives within 2 seconds. To change your colors in your lights, you turn it on, then you go off on, within a 2-second period, it goes to the next color. Off on goes to the next color, off on goes to the next color. So if you get one of those remotes, you can sit in the house wherever you want to, but off on, it comes with 2 of them for $70. But it clicks quick enough. The $35 one doesn't quick enough so it's going to be the same color all the time.
Yeah.
And it just goes in that switch box. It has a switch mounted onto it too, but it's really easy. Not being that you have rock, it'll go through it good. And it's worth it. Kind of automation, a cheap way to do automation. That,
Okay, when I didn't know, we have the ability to change colors?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, but I
LED.
Yeah, you have 12
Okay.
or 13 colors.
Yeah.
Okay, and then,
Blue's
okay,
the coolest color. Cobalt blue, the second color.
yeah.
That's the coolest.
So, okay, so we'll show you the switch up here. Are you saying we could put that on a timer? or
You
just on a
could put
remote?
it on a timer if you wanted to. Easy enough. You got like an egg timer or something, or a time clock. You could put it on, but with that remote, you can actually change. Because you may not want it on. Some people want it on. Like the people I just came from a little bit ago. She wants it on every night at 8, off at 11. So whatever color you had on last, that timer is going to turn it on that color. The remote that I'm talking about is just an extra little bell and whistle that kind of looks cool to your friends. If you can sit there and change the light, you know, look at this, and change the colors. Some people like that a little bit. To me, it doesn't really make a difference one way or the other. You got to get up and walk outside and hit it, and it's cold. That might make a difference. Christmas time, you just turn it on. Red is one of the colors. It looks like a Halloween color. It's the only color. You know, one of those things. But there's red, white, and blue for 4th of July. There's all kinds of different color schemes. So if you go on and look at they probably left laying here at one point, the JND LED light scheme. You can Google it, or whatever, however you do your search engines. The JND color scheme for the color LED watercolors they call them, and it's 13 colors. It has solids. It has 5 solids, and the rest are 5 shows, and the rest are solid. It has disco fast, disco slow. It has a Caribbean thing. It's different colors, blues and purples. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
And the blue ones, there's 3 different blues. Like the cobalt blue is like neon looking. It makes that color classy look awesome at night. It shines out there. And if you have kids around here and you got your waterfall on, your shear descent on, and you have the thing changing colors, you know, whether it's a slow one or rapid one, it should, where the bubbles are hitting and the oxygen bubbles are, it makes it look like sparklers. So just changing colors, those bubbles are constantly changing colors with it. It looks pretty cool.
I think I read, I think somewhere that says you should never have just a white light.
You know, white lights, every bug can be in the outside of a hill. normally it's a 2-mile radius. I say I give you a 5-mile radius if you have a white light in that pool.
Okay.
It's like sending beams up in the sky. Party.
Yeah.
Those little June bugs, the hard shelled ones.
Yeah.
After about an hour, they'll start coming, and they're coming at full blast, and they're hitting the water. They're hitting. It sounds like a machine gun on your deck. I mean, like a AR-15 going off when they're cracking so hard down on the deck, and you get up the next morning,
No white.
and they're dead. I mean, there's like dead things all over your,
Yeah.
your deal. You know?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, well, I
didn't-
just remembered reading
and those
somewhere.
Bugs, those bugs, they come to white. The colored, they don't come to. Not
Yeah.
so much. But I mean,
Yeah.
every bugs on that side of the valley over there will come over here to party.
Yeah,
with them.
although we've got
Well,
that
that's
Dynatrap
remember when-
on the
That,
pump
that
house.
works pretty good, but it doesn't work on those gene bugs. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Well, that's, when you and I were growing up, or all of us were growing up, we had yellow lights
Yep.
Yeah,
at the back porch,
tapes hanging down.
and the yellow, they don't want to come to the yellow light, but you put a white light in there.
They're
Yeah.
magnets. You can't keep them away. And then you start hitting the pool, and when you hear them hitting the water and hitting your head, you'll be ducking and trying to cover up because
Yeah.
they come from a long ways up, and
huh,
it literally sounds like an AR-15 going off when they hit the deck sometimes.
Wow.
okay.
Right. So now
Okay.
that we're here, we're going to do the tablets here in a second. Then we're going to then we'll come over and we'll turn everything off. If the flares was running, I'd take it this way. And you can set it back to 230. Maybe move it earlier. 230 right there. Right. And now I'm going to come here and I'm going to turn that off. It's going to try to turn back on. I'm going to turn it off again. Not going to do it that time. You do it. Try to turn back on one more time so you hit it again and it'll turn off. So it must be getting ready to turn off. So, like I say. So now we're going to empty this one first. Okay?
Okay.
With it off. Give it a pop. Rubber mallet's good. A stick or rock is not good. You can always check and make sure your O-rings are clean. And they are. Now this is where all the pollen is. Look how full that bag is.
Wow.
So okay if I just put it out on the tree right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just pollen.
This
That's
pollen, there's going to be some rocks in the bottom of it from the
Oh,
startup.
Leaves.
But we haven't emptied it yet, so feel how heavy that is, first of all.
I'll let you.
Yeah. Pretty heavy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wow.
So when you go to empty it, you always tap down like this. Don't want to tap it on the side and beat it like
Ah.
that. It'll break your lips off but after a while. Right, so
Wow.
back in there pretty good.
I think there's some leaves in there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
You don't want to really out here with all the rocks you have. I would not just stick my hand in there without being able to see what I'm sticking my hand into because
No.
the scorpions will be.
Yeah, I remembered you saying that.
Yep. So
One
what I'm going to
time
do right
when
now is
we-
I'm going to take and put this down in the water. See that water right there?
Yeah.
That's going to help to break it free, hopefully.
There you go. Wow.
So that's mostly leaves. Yeah.
Mostly they just
Which
see
is the
little
first
rocks
thing.
at the end. That's the normal thing. So when you go to dip, you're not going to always get 100% of the stuff out because even if you look in that pipe right there, you'll see stuff that when we turn it off, stuff comes out of the basket and goes up in there. See all that stuff
Oh,
right
yeah.
there?
Yeah.
So don't think it's magical science or anything to do that. Okay, now I can look and I don't see any sausage tails, so I'm going to go for it.
So when it's that full and that bad,
That's why that
it's-
wasn't running with the full prime.
yeah, it's not
It's
good.
having a hard time sucking it all through
Yeah.
there. But you saw firsthand, and there's some people that have tents of oak trees over the top of their pool. They literally have to that much every day in it. I mean, it's crazy. The guy that had 4 inches in one day, 4 inches of tassels stacked up. They're dry. You look like you could walk across it. It's
Wow.
scary. I want to make sure my O-ring's clean. There's something right there, just something as small as that. You go to Leslie's, we're going to try to sell you O-ring lubricant. Worst thing you can do because it makes them stretch and stuff stick to them. Wipe it with a rag. If you feel like it's getting gummy or anything, WD-40 on a rag, you wipe it. It's water displacement. It lubricates it. Makes everything all better. So I go to put this back down on there. It snaps on.
there's only one way it's going to go, right?
Yeah, well, it's like there's 3 places it could go, but the same way, yeah. It's
Yeah.
going to go down on there. So this one, there's locked, start, start. I give it a little pop because it is locked on there. Now pull this off. Actually, you're pretty close to the water level right there, I'd say, because that's not going down like it should go down. See, it's starting to flex back up. There's a notch on the back of that. This is we're going to get about 2% of the stuff in there. 98% is going to get caught on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So again,
Sure, I'm glad we don't
Tap
have
it
a
out.
whole lot of trees over the
look
pool.
before you leap in here. Okay.
Yeah.
Just a good idea. Then I want to take, some people put with like a little golf clip or something, they'll put a little towel out here so they can wipe all these surfaces to make sure We don't have any sand or
Okay.
anything on there.
We
I mean, I
have
just
some
use
of
my
this.
hand, no big deal. This notch, if you don't put this notch in there to where it lines up, then that comes out again. Oh, that there we go. Then you see there's a bunch of little pebbles in the bottom. When you first time you clean this filter,
Yeah.
see them? They're
Yeah.
plaster. They're going to be a whole bunch. There's probably about an inch in the bottom of that filter full of them. So when you take that off, a bunch of those little rocks are going to come out all colored and everything. Just that first time. After 30 days, the plastic cures, you don't have that stuff no more.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to set this in there. If that notch is in there, the lid's not going to go on. Even if I try to stand on it, jump up and down, it's not going to go on. Cool thing I'm going to show you is, see the size of those holes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This lid makes them look 4 times that size. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily need to be emptied every week. I do it once a month just so you can see what's in it, because like long hairs and stuff will go through those holes and they'll come out and go through the other hole and you don't really see it looking down in there, and you pull it out and then there's all these hairs. We go to apartment complexes and have to cut those baskets out because the
Yeah.
hair gets so packed from long black hair and stuff in there that you can't get that basket out. It
Sure.
gets caught back in the impeller. So in the back here, water comes up. There's a hole right here. It's 3 inches around. That's, if this ever gets a crack in it, the leaves will get sucked up in the impeller there and it'll cause it not to run right. You get a lot of funny sounds from the cavitating sounds. All right, so this goes in here like that. I take the lid, my O-ring's clean. I set it down on start in a straight line. Start, see it? Then lock, straight line.
Okay.
I'm big on straight lines. You'll figure that out after this next one, okay?
All right.
Like straight lines. And it just so happens we have deck paint right in the right,
right
in the right
a
spot.
good marker, you know.
Oh,
So over here, we're sitting on number 3 right now. In the summertime, you want to be on number 3. In the wintertime, you want to be on number 1. November, December, January, and February, this is all written down in that sheet.
yeah.
You use 1 tablet a month. Water's in the 60s and lower. There's no demand for chlorine. 1 tablet will last that long. Right now, we're using 3 tablets a week. Okay?
Okay.
If you want to go in ineffectively, you put 8 tablets in there. It's going to burn all 8, and you won't have any higher chlorine reading than if you only had 3.
So 3 stands for the number of tablets.
Now 3 stands for the water flow. When I take this off, there's holes in that canister that's under there, and the holes that turn so that they're more wide open. Like 6, the holes are wide open, so water flows straight through.
Okay.
Okay, 3 is just is the intermediate area where we got with that time of setup we have. That's going to be the best disperser of chlorine.
Okay.
If you're going to go out of town, put 2 extra tablets and turn it down a little bit to like 2.5 right in there. And it'll do the same thing. You can go 10 days without it, but I wouldn't count on 10 days a lot of times with that when they're dissolving. Tablets like a bar of soap. You take a bar of soap and you throw it in the drain in your bathtub. If the water's cold, what happens to your soap? Nothing. It just sits there, right?
Yeah.
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 You just start to warm it up, it starts to bubble and dissolve whether you use it or not, and then pretty soon it disappears. Tablets are the same way. They're heat sensitive. So at 72 degrees, they start getting more active. At 82 degrees, they're really active. At 92 degrees, which you might have a good chance of with the color you have in the direct
sure.
sunlight,
Oh yeah.
it's going to dissolve them pretty fast. So normal rule of thumb is starting March 1st, you go 1 tablet a week. April 1st, 2 tablets a week. May 1st, 3 tablets a week. We're pretty close to May. And May 15th, if your pool starts to warm up, and I'm sure yours is one of those that's going to do it, you'll go on May 15th, 4 tablets a week, all the way through till August. In August, you start winging them back. So you're going to go from September, where you're putting 3 tablets a week in there, to November 1st, where you're putting 1 tablet a month. That's how fast the water cools off.
Yeah.
There's not much demand. You use more chemicals from from April 15th to June 15th, July 1st, than you will the other 8.5 months out of the year. Together, even though August and July and September is hotter, the water's hit its point where it's come up, and it has more chlorine demand as it rises.
Yeah.
So it gets its fill when it gets up and it's 100 degrees outside in August and the water's 92 degrees. You won't shock it. You use way less chemicals than you will this time of year. You have to shock it almost every week until the middle of June, just because the water temperature is increasing, the June showers and flowers and all that stuff all has need on that. The test strips will tell you that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and put on number 6. Keeps the handle in a straight line at the pipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't have to be on that tight. They always suck them down from the factory. The O-ring is going to be sucked up in the lid. I'm going to knock the O-ring out. You won't have to do this ever again, but they vacuum sealed the O-rings and the lids on there when they're in the factory. All I want it to do is see that tray that it sits in right there.
Mm-hmm.
It almost came out right there. The O-ring's going to sit perfectly down inside there. See that little notch right there?
Yep.
That V should be lined up straight across from there with it being on number 6. keeps it all simple. Because if you don't put on number 6 and you take it apart, that's your magician or genius. I don't know how you got it to not leak when you put it together. Okay, because these little cogs have to line up with those little cogs and everything has to be just perfect or it's going to leak. And normally when you take this off, which is almost ready
Is
now,
that pieces of chlorine at the bottom?
Yes. I put some tablets in here I had off of another, because I knew y'all were going out of town.
Yeah, I think I remember you said you put a couple in that it would last until you came back for full school.
For the first week.
Yeah.
Second, third week. All right, so normally I'm going to put 3 tablets in there.
Oh, that hadn't been opened yet, has it?
No.
That's right. We
Actually, that has to.
wrapped it in that plastic. We
off the
bought this when we were in Huntsville, Alabama last summer because there was such a shortage here, and we happened to be in Costco there and saw it and grabbed it. So we wrapped it real good in that, whatever you call it, wrap.
There.
I can't remember what you call that stuff.
Gotta be smarter than the lid is, sorry. Took me a while to get it. Alright, so I'm going to set this down inside of here just like that. I want the ring to be clean. As long as it's sitting in gray all the way around there, we're in good shape. Okay, so we're going to, trick to this is as you get them out, this is bleach, solid bleach instead of liquid bleach.
Yeah.
It will poke it out of your clothes if you rub your hands on there.
Yeah.
So wear your old clothes, don't wear your best clothes to do this. Always close it back up. I'm going to cover it with my hand as I drop these in there, so you want to cover your, so your face doesn't get it.
Right.
Alright, so it goes down. They start to sink. We're good with that. If I take the 6, now I got a little bit of a splash up there on that. I want to get that off of there
Okay, so why did you do 3?
because it's coming up.
Yeah.
Since we're low on chlorine here the first time and it was coming up on May 1st, I'm just getting us a little bit of a jump start.
Okay.
Okay. Normally,
Three a week.
normally
So
it'll
now
be
it's
May.
about
Yeah,
3 a week.
for May. Yeah, for right now, this time of year, you just started it with fresh water. I put 3 a week in right now through May 15th. Probably when you look in there and they're almost all gone, you had the right amount. If you
Yeah.
look in there and they're big chunks, do 1 less the next week. If you look in there and there's no chunks, do 1 more.
Okay.
The one
Yeah.
for March, 2 for April. That's just in general over all the years I've cleaned pools. That's what I found to do it efficiently.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
So with the 6 on there, I set this down in there,
All right.
and it actually, you'll see how it fell down in there.
Seat, yeah.
Yep. So then I put the lid on, just snug. Don't have to get caveman on it. Take it back to 3.
3.
All right. This you want to change out. You should have got one in a box. Did they give like it says dual clear on it? You want to use that for
What is
next
it?
March. You want to use it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Next March you want to put that in.
Next
They're good for 8 months.
Dual
They
clear.
want you to change them every 6 months. That company does, but I
Yeah.
can tell you they're good for 8 months. They know the homeowner's
Are
not
you saying
throwing
we
it.
should have gotten one from
You should
them?
have gotten one. If you haven't, we need to get you one. It should be in a rectangular box, and it's a gray one instead of an orange one like that. That's the beginner one that has the magic dust and stuff for the
No.
brand new swimming pools.
No, the only thing that we have is just the test kit
Test kit and a brush and a pole and
and
that.
a thermometer.
Yep. Okay.
Stay tuned. Maybe I've seen a box.
It says DUO
Oh, this
dual
no.
clear is
No,
what it
I-
actually
What
says.
I'm thinking it's a white box and there's no writing on it at all.
Not unless Leslie's, or not Leslie's. Anthony Sylvan sometimes sends coupons for $75 to buy those. They cost me $129 to buy them from the factory direct. So if you get them and you don't want to buy 4 of them and they give you 4, call me and let me buy them from you. Cause I'll be happy to give you 25 extra bucks for
Yeah.
each one, which saves me $29. You know.
Sure.
But you put them in once a year on March 15th. The water, reason why in November you go to 1 tablet because it's cold and you're not going to grow anything, right? That's time released. The copper and the stuff that's inside of that, that's your algicide I was talking about earlier. That will actually last for 8 months and it goes to where there's none left. So if you started on March 15th, November 15th when you're out of the swim season, you're good to, and that canister can sit there just fine, empty, nothing in it,
Yeah.
until March comes back around. You put one in there in November when that one goes out, I can tell you you're wasting your money
All right.
because it's
And
too
what
cold.
is it called again?
It's a Nature 2 cartridge, but it says on the
Nature
box,
Tea I
Duo
saw it
Clear.
in the paperwork
Yeah.
to replace it, but no, we never.
I don't believe in snake oils and a lot of stuff. It took me a long time to believe in ozone
yeah.
until I saw the effects of it, and people that had it actually, they were convinced, and they convinced me that it actually works. I never saw anything that made me think it worked. We're the warranty station for them, and I never seen nothing, but I believe in it now
Well,
because it's
remember
people's
when you
eyes.
were here before you went to Vegas,
Uh-huh.
and we were talking about the pool, about the deck, and all of that. And you said that they should have given us,
A touch-up can.
which we never got.
They-
Would that have been with the touch-up kit?
It could have been.
Yeah, so you never
So
got that.
so you just need to get a hold of Cynthia or Gabriel. But Cynthia's the one that she has it wherever her office is now. She has. They give them lots of. It comes in a pint.
Yeah.
It's like that big.
Right.
You want to set it in the laundry room and walk it by once a month. Just flip it over. You don't have to shake it. Just flip it over. It keeps because it'll separate into 3
Yeah.
layers. You'll never shake it back together with one of those shake machines. It just needs to be flipped over so it runs through itself and
Something else
everything's
put on
good.
a reminder.
Yeah, I mean it's
Has
it's
some
something that you
water,
really need
flip
because
the
if you and you'll see it when you walk by. You think,
Yeah.
oh, Tom said flip that. It'll snap
Yeah.
in your head, you know. And you might do it more than
Yeah.
once a month. You might do it every 2 months. I don't know. All right, so we've done both baskets. We put the chemicals in. Everything for the most part is ready to start back up. So I'm gonna walk over here, and because I want to make sure it primes before I walk away, I'm gonna start it on number 3. Okay, that pump's gonna go in number 3. So if we walk over here and look, you hear that squeak?
Yeah.
That's a normal sound that the magnets make in there. The earth magnets. We didn't move any valves before we started, so we're good, right? So now that's called priming. That water is coming through here and going over there. So here in a second, you see the air bubbles come up.
Yeah.
See the water splashing in right there?
Yeah.
As this fills up, the air bubbles will come up here to the top. See them coming?
Yep.
Yep.
So after those disappear, 15 seconds after that, that should all disappear. At 1750, it's not ever enough to make that catch a full prime. At 3000 it is. So if you put it on at 1750, it's not going to hurt anything. But the next day when the flares turns on, that's when it's going to go back up. So we still got bubbles coming. So when those bubbles all disappear, those bubbles should disappear.
Yeah, that's
And they'll get up here,
higher.
getting higher. And now you'll see a lot of gurgling in the pool. It's a lot bigger gurgling than it was with the ozone on it before. Because all the air, instead of bleeding it out right there and getting everything all wet, I'd rather let it self-bleed itself out here and the big bubbles go out in the pool because I like to see the slab wet. Anytime there's a wet slab and you didn't just put chlorine in there or you didn't empty that basket, we got a seal problem. Call Pulmar or call anything silver and get us on it because the longer that it would leak, the more it's going to eat the grease and the bearings out and the more you're going to have issues. So see our bubbles are almost gone. They're
Yeah.
just barely there. And they'll be almost gone and barely there in a second there. They're starting to go away. So when that's running with the full prime and you walk over and you look at it, you will see no bubbles. You might see stuff bouncing around, but the 1 in 4 people I usually give a pool school to, takes about 3 months for it to happen. But they'll empty this basket and they'll walk away. And they do something, they come back over here and they call me all freaked out and say, Tom, my pump's running, but there's no water in it. No, it's all water, there's no air, because it's almost to the all water part.
Yeah.
Other than those little bursts of, now that those are gone, it should go away there. You look down in there and look how big those holes are now down in the bottom of that.
Yeah.
This time of year you got leaves bouncing around, but they look a lot bigger, right? Like you could stick a pin in them. That
Yeah.
lid makes them 4 times bigger. Now the bubbles are gone. If you didn't have leaves bouncing around that come in there, you wouldn't know that in about another 3 weeks, when you empty it, those won't be in there so prevalent because they're not in the line so much from the trees in the spring. And you'll go, wow. And I'll hear it when you're walking up. I can hear it's not making a loud humming sound like it's cavitating. I hear the smooth purr. And I say, look at your pool. Is it got water circulating? You say, yeah. I say, what's the gauge say? 12? Yeah. You got all water, no air. Crazy, right? If you didn't see those black things floating around in their leaves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you would not know that that was all water.
Yeah.
And that's usually about 3 months before it catches people, and I will have a laugh if you call
And
me.
but it
and-
looks more like a wind chamber,
yeah.
just blowing little pieces
So,
of
so when
leaves
you call
around.
me, we'll have a good laugh. Say, yep, you're one of the 4 I was telling you about. But it's okay. It means you're paying attention, you know?
All right. So now we're at 12.
Yeah, but we're at 3,000
thereabouts.
RPMs, which is higher than what we are at 2750 on the cleaner speed.
Okay.
So now I'm going to turn the cleaner speed on because we got a full prime. Before I walk away, this is where it'll take you on. You just do this stuff right here. Come back over here and turn the cleaner speed on. And it'll either turn off tomorrow when the cleaner's told to tell out, or I can come out here and turn it off later. But we went down there, so now if you look at it, it should be the same on the gauge as it was before we started.
Right, it's
So we just dropped it down 250, it should went down about 10, right?
it's hovering right above 10,
It did go.
in between 10 and 12. Yeah.
It's done exact time. Kind of, just like if you had a little bit too much acid one week, you add a little less the next week, you're not going to hurt anybody. Now, if you added a lot, you get down to 6.8, little eyes are going to be flaming white and red, digging them out of your head. If you have fire ant bites on you or anything like that, you're going to know they're there because it's sensitive. It'll heal really fast with a low pH like that, but it's not something you want to practice. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go get some more zip ties. I'm going to zip tie them down across there. And as I do that, you'll notice those bubbles disappear a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. I want to have it on that speed. I'll put it back on 1 before I go, or we can put the cleaner, 2 and the cleaner on since we put the clarifier in there. The cleaner will help that clarifier mix through the water a lot
Yeah.
faster.
Okay.
Cleaner.
Good. What is, yeah.
Give it a cool name. It's your best friend, Tristan.
Yep.
Tomato dog. Whatever you call it.
That stays on all the time.
It'll go on.
Yeah.
Until it turns off, when this gets over there, it'll turn off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Set on a timer.
So then
Yeah.
it'll be good. I'd run it for 3 hours a day at least. The more it runs, the more circulation you have. Wherever it's going, 33% more water flowing around.
Yeah.
Helps the chemicals suck it from the bottom. If that's frozen up, the bottom's gonna pour it in.
Okay.
I bet you the spots on the wall other than the ones in the corner of the steps, that there should be able to time the walls. Now the tires have gotten gummy enough to shoot up that it'll time where it was just sliding kind of at first. Should have. I haven't watched it do that quite yet.
And
But
if,
Yeah.
and if it does, brush it.
yeah, you by all means, brushing doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it goes off faster that way and you get out of the corners. It won't go up in the step corner. Just be careful when you're brushing steps. Make sure you clear that step because that metal back brush will snap the ends off. You hit it, that aluminum one that you hit it just right, pushing down, and it just break the end of that brush off there.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Now,
Alright.
if it shortens it, then you gotta make more strokes. So you don't want to mess with that. Right?
Yep.
So, you want to get some zip ties. We're going to keep this closed. This right here should only be on whenever the pump turns on. It's wired to the same relay inside of, or the same relay out of the top of that pump goes up there to this thing turns it on. Like green light. Okay?
Okay.
The brake is right there. If you ever have a problem, you turn it off up here. The time clocks are always going to turn back on if you have it off. So just be turning the breakers off to make sure it's off if you need it off.
Yeah.
If something breaks, it's shooting water way up in the sky or something, turn the breakers off.
Okay.
All right, and it's pretty close because that water didn't go down in that pump. I was expecting almost 2/3 of that water in the pump pot to go down the pipe and up over there when we opened it up. So we're almost at the level. So if you opened up that right now with it running, it may suck all the way down, but it's probably going to be pulling a little bit of water in. So it'll make a like a boat not planing sound because of the level where the water is over there, which is good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So when am I going to clean that filter?
Being right now that it's already May 1st, I'd wait till November 1st. Or if it goes up 5 psi and when it's running on clean.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
That's about because it depends what's around it. Elephant ears are hard on it. Magnolia leaves are because they have a oil film on them.
Yeah.
Lantana and potted plants, not a good idea to put on
Right,
around the
I
pole because they have
remember
a
you
very
saying
low
that.
pH. And you'll never have to add acid. You have to add soda ash because it takes the pH down that low. So if they create murrows, too many leaves, you don't want to jack up those that are a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
They're pretty, but a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Bottom, sorry.
All right. And you had mentioned a pipe on the back
Yes.
overflow drain.
Yes. I'll show you
We're
over
not
here.
sure that the drain, we think maybe they covered the drain up.
See where that white thing is right
Yeah.
there? That's where your overflow. So if it
Right.
rains,
Oh,
you
I
wanna
know.
have it up to almost the bottom of there for a normal operation.
Yeah. I watched them put it in, and there was a hole in the back wall.
Yeah, and they probably ran it down and out over here somewhere.
I
Or
think
they-
it's straight out from
Yeah, I thought
So where is it right there, right?
it's right here.
Right, so usually they'll put it and
Pretty much
you'll
right
find
where
it
my
when
foot is.
it gets up after a few rains, probably right there. If you dig down, just put a cap on there, PVC cap on it. Don't glue it on, just slip it on. Because it's got to come out over here somewhere. Or
Yeah.
I would have sworn there was a hole like right here.
there used to maybe be a hole right there. So
Yeah.
what you might do is stick a hose up there and run it, and if water will show up. It'll show a moist, damp spot right there. If that's
Yeah.
where it's at, then you need to come and chip that out of there.
Yeah. Well, we
Because a lot
already
of
said
times they'll
something
drop
to
it
Gabriel.
down. They'll drop it down and roll it out ground level once they bring it back. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to Gabriel about that, but
Yeah. Clearly, they're
I
not
would-
finished yet. They still
No,
have
they gotta clean
cleanup
up here
to
yet.
do. And
Yep.
we were talking about the pool deck. You said that I was concerned about some of the splotches on the
Yep.
pool deck, and you
Yeah.
said it probably was from when they acid washed.
Yep.
So,
So-
I'm not going to go and touch it all up. I think they need to fix it.
But they'll come and they'll pressure wash it. Just be careful with them pressure washing. Sometimes there's things
Yeah.
that you want to do that you don't want somebody that doesn't care. It's not theirs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after the pollen season comes, pretty much things will start blending a lot faster. So if you never use a paintbrush on that. You want to use
Right,
to
a
blot out with a
sponge,
sponge
yeah.
or a rag or
Yeah.
something. And then after about 2 weeks, it should blend in pretty close to with what's around it. Just because it's a bigger spot. Now a paintbrush, you can see it in your house up there in the window, and you can see it all the way on this side of the pool,
Yeah.
like a magnifying glass sticking out at you.
Huh.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Right, so I'm gonna go get some
Zip
pick up my
ties.
umbrella. some straps to get the bubbles not so much. So if you go down to 1750 over there on speed number 1, there won't be hardly any big bubbles. It'll all be smaller bubbles. But we're going to run this speed a lot more often, or even a little bit higher. We want just champagne bubbles. We don't want it looking like
Yeah.
it's looking over there. 'Cause that
Yeah.
looks like a pool that's running low.
Okay.
And to a regular pool guy that's old school like me, that's been around and not all these fancy things they have in today's world, that's a leak. We got an air leak. You know.
Well, yeah, I would have said that. So,
See how right there it went up on the step, but it's going to stop up there like that
Yeah.
because it can't clear with that that float has to be able to get up above it.
Right.
So if it
Okay.
came in on the other side on its side, then it could possibly roll around the top of it.
yeah.
But I wouldn't
You say
expect that in my life.
there was a white clip at the
Yeah.
top of the.
It went on the bag. It was about an inch long, and it had
Yeah.
a cut in it, and it just went clipped onto the hose.
All right.
I'll look in my trucks. I don't think I have any of those, but I'll look.
I mean, it wouldn't have gone in the drain, would it?
No, we would have seen it in the blue basket.
No.
The blue basket's the catcher of all evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I dumped a lot of stuff on you. You got my phone number. Don't hesitate
Did
to
you
use
Yes.
did you want to ask him about the tail end of the Polaris?
the scrubber.
What
The
about
black
it?
thing.
Is that a scrubber?
When they first made the Polaris, it came out, they didn't have that until
Yeah.
about 10, 12
Yeah, we
years
didn't
ago.
have one
Okay.
before.
Okay, that was 79 cents when they first came out. Now you can buy 3 for $5 or something like that.
Okay,
They're-
because yeah, I've noticed
there's
it's
something
already
that
worn.
it helps because you don't have to brush. It's doing the brushing where it's going and it's helping.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on there, but for the first month to 3 months,
Yeah.
it's good to have one on there because it's getting the stuff. It's made to wear out. It's closed cell foam
Yeah.
Yeah.
or open cell foam.
Yeah, and you
that's
can see it's
over-
already worn
and it
thin in
deteriorates,
one
'cause
spot.
The
Yeah.
plaster's kind of rougher, so it starts to wear it and it just dissolves and goes away.
Yeah.
The wear rings on the tail keep the tail with the little blue ring.
Yeah.
Keep it from wearing out. Like that, because that
Okay.
thing is one of those things that when you go to McDonald's or somewhere, you get that cookie offer or apple pie. You want an apple pie? That's your apple pie for Polaris, okay?
Yeah.
And literally,
Okay.
that's what how you guys were running the CEO and vice president for Burger King one day in California. And they asked him, would you like an apple pie? You know, and both of them looked at each other supposedly before he goes, we need an apple pie for the Polaris. There it is.
So water level. I think I was told about halfway
We
up.
went about another inch higher than we did now.
Okay.
Water over there and the autofill.
Yeah.
I put that in there for y'all.
That's what
The
that's what I wanted to
autofill.
ask you about. I put some water in here about 2 weeks ago, because it was down pretty much at the bottom
It
level.
was pretty
of the
full. I
tub.
remember when I first came here.
Yeah.
If I said that in there, the last time I just didn't float in there, 'cause I want to see if the pool's leaking or not.
So is the
Yeah.
autofill
But-
not over there?
Well, that's where you turn it on at.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's over there in the deck, and you don't want to have it on full blast over there. You just want it, it's a toilet float. Okay, so think
Yeah.
about a toilet, how much water it takes to, you overstress them out by cranking a bunch of water pressure to them. You just want,
Okay.
half volume over there maybe, so it doesn't overdo the diaphragms or anything in the.
Okay, so let's check over there to make sure that it's at the.
I set that
Right.
upright, but it's over here. The float's not at the right height.
Well, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
I'd like to see where it's supposed
Okay.
to be.
Yeah, we've had so many people here, workers and stuff, that they could have turned it off
They certainly could have.
and we wouldn't have known it. Yeah, see all these white spots.
Okay, see, this is it right here. This is what feeds it, and it goes into the pop-off valve and everything right here. See how I barely have that open?
Yep.
It's just a toilet foot, 3/8 inch tube is all that comes out over there. So that's more than enough pressure over there. Because we played with it off and listened to it pop and blow water out here.
Okay.
Over there is where we got just the height. Okay, so I'm going to push down on the deal, turn it, pop it up a little bit, and I'm going to lock it back in. And then this will keep up with that. So if you're losing a 1/4 inch of water a day, and the way you tell if you got runaway bus, if it's up to your white thing all the time, then we got a leak in the deal I'm about to show you.
Okay.
Basically, scale gets in there and it needs to be descaled or new one. You can buy them for $13.96 at Home Depot or $78 at a pool place. You choose. I buy ours at Lowe's across the street from my store for I think $32 or something
Wow.
like that because contractors deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's the same thing. We don't sell them for $78, but there are places that do because if you go to distribution and buy them at $39. Tell me they're not making a bunch of money on them. And if you're not smart enough to take one apart and clean it out, a little screen in there, then you buy one here. That's probably a low one. is, it even tells you, Corky. Okay?
Okay.
So if I push down and twist this, hear the water? That's up as high as
Yeah.
it goes. I want to add about 1 inch to it from where it is. So I'm going to say about right there probably is be good. I locked it into place. So it's probably only going to come up about 1/2 inch right there. But I don't want it to go too full. So tomorrow morning, it's going to take it a long time at that rate. So if we turn that on full blast over there, it's not going to come on any faster than
Okay.
what it can push through there, in other words.
All
Right.
right. So that's my autofill.
That's your autofill, and there's a gray ring around underneath the
Yep.
that's where the water comes out. So when it's on, sometimes like that stuff that's floating right there,
Yeah, I can see
it just pushed
pushing.
it out of this hole. So there's a little bit more in here. I couldn't see in the bottom very well when I put that in. I did flush it out. When I splash it, here's the water go. It's got to equal and be even. That's an equalizer tube as well. I'd say it's probably about 1/2 inch, which may be where we want to be, but I just don't want to put it too high and then have it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just take it, turn it, and you can pick it up. And at that point right there, if we go, see there's a little line. Can you see that line on it right there?
Hang on. I can't.
Right here by where my finger is. See that little line right there?
Nope.
It's right, there's a little sight window to it at the bottom of it. If you put your finger on there, this part right here, and touch this. See where that hole is?
Oh, yeah.
There's a line right underneath it.
Uh-huh.
That's where the water level is going to be.
Okay.
All right, so if we take that down, we go to about, like right there, it'll turn off. If I leave it there for a second,
Right.
that's still off. That's going to be too high. That's going to be where we probably need it right there. It's about, from where that is, you're about 1/2 inch,
Okay.
right? It's that simple to do it. So you want to turn it off over there if you ever had to pull this apart or clean it. If you take and turn that off and you pull this out, you can actually twist this and pull this whole piece off the top of the stem sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, this is just snaps on there. There's a little screen inside of there. That's what gets plugged up and rocks get on it from
Yeah.
calcium, and that's what, or buy a new one if you don't want to take it apart. Just make sure you have the water off or it gets really wet when you, oh, the door came back off. I cleaned out the hole.
I was looking to see where it was, and because
Now-
it wasn't laying there. Seems to want to come off a lot.
Yeah, well, I had plaster in the hole. Now that I snapped that out, it'll go back down in it. So if I take this and put the flat part in there, and the part about that bag, it causes the thing to want to float, the basket to want to float.
Yeah.
So I push it up to the front, to where those, right there, it just snapped in.
Okay.
Now it won't come out. That little peg was not pronged out. So this right here, I would keep the bag, throw it with the bag on there. I keep it like that. You may want to throw a piece of towel in there or a rock. Towel looks nicer. Anybody sees it. To keep it weighed down with that bag on there, it makes it want to float up out of there sometimes.
Oh, okay.
All right. So see, when we get the water up, we want to have it right about where that is.
All right.
That'd be pretty good. Now, weir door shouldn't come back out of there now. It floats up and down, so when the pool turns off, it goes up, so it keeps the stuff in here and doesn't let it back in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now if you pull the basket out and all the stuff that gets by it, it's going to shoot out and fall down, you know, because it nozzle in the bottom.
Yeah.
See, and this if you're walking by and it's real quiet at nighttime out here, if you hear that on, it's not uncommon, because it takes it to go 1/2 inch. It's going to take it until tomorrow morning. Think about how many toilet bowl fulls that is.
Yeah.
We're taking it up right there. So, actually, this is broken. I need to take a picture of that and send it to him so he can get you another one.
Yeah.
Can you take a picture of that for us?
Sure.
See right there where that is? That's been painted this color already, but